Okay. Well, I was going to do a webinar tonight, and it ended up just being me. So I'm back to just creating a video, and it feels really good, actually. The theme tonight was going to be embracing the darkness, or there's all of these painful aspects of existence that seem painful anyway, like just by being here, having an experience. There's always going to be painful moments. People around us may seem to hurt us or leave us. We have to struggle. It feels like we have to struggle sometimes, and we're left with repeated failures. There's so many hardships around the world, too, with our environment being damaged, animals being kept in horrific conditions, as well as many people. To be able to take this all in can feel like too much. So many of us will walk away and we'll sort of, I guess, pretend to ourselves that we can't really do anything about it. So there's no use in going there or feeling those emotions that it may elicit within us. So we continue doing, always doing something to avoid really going there and taking in the depth of the pain. Or we can go the other way and wallow in the pain and feel helpless, like a helpless victim, resenting even being alive. That can feel very hurtful as well. But there's something that exists between those two extremes, something that is quite often missed, is that if we really don't allow those emotions in, if we deny them, then we're constantly running. And when life slows us down, it forces us to face them. That's what life is always doing, wanting us to feel whatever is presenting itself. For us to recognize the fullness of experience includes the pain and the joy. And ironically, by allowing the pain, there is a sense of joy underneath it. By allowing ourselves to be sad, to grieve, to experience hardship, loss, maybe a sense of failurehood, to just feel that without running from it, without wallowing in it, but to allow all those emotions to come up to the surface is really what is being asked of us. And there's actually a space within us. When we do this, we realize that there is a space within us that allows us to experience the emotion without getting lost in it. We can experience pain without becoming the pain. No longer then do we have to run from the pain or wallow in the pain, become a victim of life. We can allow every experience the chance to be within us, to be experienced. So often we feel that if life were only, oh, this blissful, joyous state all the time, then I would be happy. And for myself, I guess I kind of went down that road too for a while, believing that this concept of awakening or enlightenment would be the saving grace of my humanity. No longer would I experience guilt and shame and fear, that I would transcend having to feel those emotions. But that's not really what's being asked of us. An experience is just an experience. Awakening doesn't deny part of our experience. Those emotions are still there. Everything in life is a duality, or appears to be a duality, is that the whole nature of experience is to have opposites: good and bad, right and wrong, cold and hot, happiness, sadness. We only know one by contrasting it to the other. We have to have both. But the mind will take an idealized version of what it wants to have and judge every experience in accordance to it. It prefers to have the happier, the right, the good, the better, the best, to not have to go into those dark places. So it's constantly contrasting every or comparing every experience with other experiences, never fully allowing us to be in the experience just as it is. The mind comes in and judges it, labels it as a good experience or a bad experience, depending on if it perceives that it likes what the outcome was of the experience. It's not that there is no longer preferences or a desired outcome. It's just there's an allowance for all outcomes to be. It's not wrong to want to be happy, to have dreams and goals, to want to express yourself and your gifts. None of that is wrong. But it's when we believe that we need those things, we need to have certain experiences in order for us to be happy, that we get lost. We forget about what's happening now and how we're feeling now, if we're happy or not now, and keep putting it off into the future, believing that our happiness will come when I'm married, when I have the job, when I have this blissful state all of the time. But happiness is really when we give up resisting what's happening. When we give up resisting, I guess, this idea in the mind, this idea in the mind of what should be, that is in contrast to reality, is what causes our suffering. When we can be in a state where we can allow whatever's happening to happen, even if it provokes pain within us, or seems to give rise to that experience of pain, of sadness, grief, it can become okay. And that's really where the bliss is that it ironically exists even in the pain and the hardships of life. But we're so afraid to go there. We've been conditioned so heavily to believe that going into those dark places, which we've labeled as dark, painful, depressing, whatever name we choose to give it, that it's better to not really go there, to not feel that's wrong, that means something's wrong with you. When we all have those experiences, we all have dark times in our life. And it absolutely doesn't mean that anything is wrong with us. When we can fully see that it's not an indicator of my state of worth or my something inherently wrong with me as a person, because I have these feelings sometimes, that I have dark emotions. When we can see it's just the nature of being human, we can allow them to be. They don't have any more meaning than that. Just their presence alone is all the meaning that they have. Anything else that we put on top of it is just a story, mostly a story that we've been conditioned to believe is true. That they're wrong, they're bad, there's something wrong with us. The pain in life is meant to be experienced. It's when we lose ourselves in the story of the pain that the mind creates, that the pain means something, that it means I'm not enough, that it means I screwed up, that it means I'm a victim. Whatever meaning that we give to it is where the true suffering arises from. That's why I think it's a Buddhist saying when they say pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. It's true. It's when we believe the stories of the mind that suffering's created. So my invitation to you, I guess, is to not run from the pain of life, to be willing to walk into it, to face it, to feel it, not just think about it and theorize about its meaning, but to simply just feel what it feels like, the sensations in the body, notice the thoughts and stories in the mind, and allow it all. To pause and be with yourself in it, not judging yourself, but experiencing yourself, experiencing everything that's happening in that moment. And the more often we do this, the more we see the illusion of the stories of the mind, how much it's the mind that's causing the suffering that overlies experience. The more we see there's nothing inherently wrong with us, and we can embrace our own humanity. Simply seeing it as the nature of experience itself. And becoming one with that experience. Not fighting it or resisting it, but allowing it, even as it unfolds. To not have to go back and rehash past pains and feel them. That may happen, and that can be very healing to allow all of those trapped emotions and energies in the body to be released. But as that's done, as those stories come up and are dispelled in the mind, it can become more of a flow where we experience the emotions as they arise in the moment. And more, I'm feeling that that is the invitation. That is the power of now, of awareness. It's to dissolve into the experience itself as it presents itself. To fully feel and sense everything that's arising in the moment. So much gratitude for being able to share. I thank you to whoever listens and takes this invitation into their own heart. Blessings to you.